Hi, I'm Dean with Old English Outfitters, and today we're going to be reviewing the Sig MCX Spear LT. This rifle has been getting a lot of hype recently, this and its .308 counterpart. It is being used on a small scale by some military units and is being talked about as a potential for the military's new service rifle. So let's get into the weeds of it. Just a brief history because there have been several Sig MCXs. So you talk about the legacy, they tried to make that gun as lightweight as possible. Total unloaded weight was 5.8 pounds without optics or anything on it. And it had a pencil barrel. Now, while that gun felt very nice to handle, you had a lot of accuracy issues with that pencil barrel. They made a change to the design, and then the Sig MCX Virtus came out, which they kind of swung the complete opposite direction and made it a rather heavy profile barrel and added some weight to the handguard to beef it up to beat the accuracy issues. There's a lot of weight hanging off the front, and because it is a piston-driven design, there's no weight in the rear assembly of the gun to balance it out. So all that weight was sitting out in front on your left hand, and people didn't like that much. Now, a lot of people are big fans of the Virtus. Our cameraman Tristan has one that he has cut down, and with a shorter barrel, it handles very nice, but overall, still a heavier gun. And then introduced the Spear LT. So this, they went for that happy medium. This gun is 7 pounds overall, unloaded, and has what I would call a medium profile barrel. Not by any means a pencil barrel, but not a bull barrel either. So going for the balance. And while it is still a little front heavy, all piston guns are going to feel a little front heavy compared to some DI guns. It is much less so than the Virtus. I have shot and handled a full 16-inch Virtus, and it was, just call it unpleasant. I didn't like it real well. There was just a lot of weight up front. Whereas this feels like a nice balanced carbine. Now, even though we do have a new barrel profile for the Spear LT, this is still swappable to other MCX barrels. That is one of the selling points of this design, is that you can swap handguards and barrels relatively easily. There is a lot of improvements they have done to this new generation of MCX. For starters, a lot of people had problems with shifting of the handguard. So to fix that, they have added these two large Torx bolts that go through the handguard and into the upper receiver. And that fixes the rigidity issue that a lot of people were having with their handguards where it would shift potentially. So that problem has since been corrected. In addition, a lot of this gun, pretty much every wearable surface. So think about all the parts that can wear out on an AR. Where your charging handle locks into your upper receiver, the cam path for your bolt, mating surfaces between the upper and lower. A lot of those are wearable parts, meaning that over time they will loosen and then eventually you'll have a failure where your charging handle will not lock into the ledge anymore. You can just grab it and pull it. All of the wearable surfaces on the Spear are replaceable. So for example, the two latches, those lock into steel roll pins that you can drift in and out. The QD sockets in the lower, those are steel inserts that can also be replaced. The cam path can be replaced. So they are really looking at the longevity of this rifle and trying to make it as replaceable and repairable as possible with very minimal effort. I mean, roll pins cost absolutely nothing compared to the cost of an entire upper receiver assembly to just get your charging handle fixed. The lower is complete ambi. So very similar, we have seen the Sig switchback or switchblade. It is also found on their Lena Michalek 3-gun rifle, where you have bolt release right here, just above your trigger guard for a right-handed shooter. And you have full left and right-hand compatibility. So there is a mag release on the left-hand side, you have the bolt catch there, and then you do have an ambi safety. The trigger is also improved. It is the Sig Match Duo trigger, which is a nice 5.5 pound pull. I would not call it a match grade trigger so much. A lot of those are very light and crisp, but this is what I would think would be the absolute nicest combat trigger that you could put in a rifle. It has a little bit of take up and a very smooth break, but it does not sacrifice the weight too much. And while there's a lot of guys running around with Geisseleys, to each their own. I like both. I have had a Sig trigger in one of my own rifles, even though it was not a Sig. Pretty much every higher-end Sig AR that comes out of their factory has one of these put in it because it is a very nice trigger. And another change to the lower receiver, this is now compatible with standard AR triggers. Previous generations of the MCX, they took a proprietary trigger assembly, whereas now you can use whatever AR trigger you would like. A few other improvements. So the rear stock, they have the Sig Minimalist Plus stock, and then they have that anodized to kind of match the FDE. A pretty decent rubber butt pad, steel QD insert in the back of that as well. You also have this removable cheek piece here that's going to help a lot with just having that cold aluminum on your face. A lot of people don't like wire stocks or machined aluminum stocks, so this is going to give a little bit of polymer for a softer cheek weld. That is removable, so if you really try, you can pry that off there, but it is a very tight fit. And the final improvement is in the folding mechanism. So a lot of these Sig folding mechanisms are tension only. You have essentially two hooks that lock into each other and a rather strong spring. So you have to grab the stock and push on the upper, pull, and turn. And they're a pain. They have to be, because if they're not, recoil can unlock that mechanism if the spring is too light or if it's worn out. So they improve that design by adding a release button. And in that, you have a button you press. You still have to lift, but lifting is a lot easier. You don't need quite as heavy of a spring when you have a locking button like that. Overall, the rifle shot very, very well. Now, this is a piston-driven gun, as I said before, and it is gas adjustable, but not how you would normally think. The Spear LT does not have a suppressor setting. It has a normal setting and an adverse setting. So not quite as tunable as some other piston guns, but still you can change the gas flow to what is going to work with your suppressor. If you have a flow-through or a traditional suppressor, you are able to tune it a little bit and try to get some better function out of it. The rifle shot very well. It's very smooth, as we've come to expect from SIGs. Even their very lower-end tread line still are very good, smooth shooting, accurate rifles. Now this, being a much higher-end version, shoots the same with all the bells and whistles. The recoil impulse was very nice and it was very accurate. That is one benefit to having just a little bit of weight out front. While if you do have to stand at the ready for a long time, that's going to start weighing on your support hand. It is very, very smooth shooting. That weight really does balance the muzzle and make it very easy to transition between targets, having a little bit of weight to guide your motion. But a lot of things that we wish would be done with ARs are thought of and delivered on this rifle here. So I can understand why people are talking about adopting it. It is a very nice piece and it shot very well. Well guys, that is our review of the Sig MCX Spear LT. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. In addition, we do have an Instagram, @OEOutfitters. Please go over there, check it out. If you like what you see, give us a follow. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.